A couple hours later, I've got all that paint stuff off of the grout. Doesn't that grout look a lot better now? Look at that. And then I cleaned off along there, the top, and up in there to try to give it some similarity, because I'm trying to keep the grout exposed all the way around it. It's kind of tricky to do when you get ready to paint a bathroom and the bathroom's 17 years old. You've got to look at the grout lines around there and decide, has the old paint got so far in the grout line? Should you paint the entire grout lines all the way around your bathtub enclosure, or clean off some and keep the grout, or what? But see, on this back wall, when they installed the tile, they installed the tiles up kind of tight to the ceiling. And so there's not much grout showing there. And when they installed the grout, in certain areas, there's not much grout up there. Where can I find you a piece? Like right in there. Look at that. See, there wasn't much grout up there because the tile was cut up there so tight. And there's more right there. I can only get it so good up there. See, it's just suspect, isn't it? Look at that. It's all the way through, and it's like, that is awful. So even if I tried to paint the grout from initial, it still wouldn't look right along there. It would look all cattywampus and things missing, you know. I want it to look like this up here. Okay, so what can I do about that? From afar, you don't really see that. And you could leave it if you want. It's up there at the top. Well, what I'm going to do is, I happen to have some grout that happens to be about that same color. And later on down the road, I'm going to mix a little bit up, and I'm going to take a putty knife and I'm going to kind of spooge it in there and make that all nice and pretty. Take a rag or take a sponge and make that line look all nice up to the existing painted ceiling. So that's something I'm going to end up doing later on to get this bathroom looking 100%, you know. Hey, when I do a job, I want to do it to the best of my ability. And whoever painted this last time, they just didn't care about it, you know. They were in a rush and they needed to get going, and so they just painted over the existing ceiling, and then they left it. And then you saw that paint. If you hadn't watched the other videos before this, take a look back and see how this looked before I started painting, during me painting it and cleaning off the paint, the new white paint. See, I even put masking tape up there, and I was going to do the best I could with trying to cut that in without cutting it in like a professional. Even had I have cut it in like a professional, there still would have been paint on that grout lines. And because you're not a professional and you don't know how to cut in, you can still get it looking like this. If you get a little bit of paint on there, leave it, let it dry for a couple days, and then clean it off with a little screwdriver, a putty knife, and a damp sponge, and you'll get it off. Okay? All right, so enough of that. I'm onward. What else do I have to do in this bathroom? Yes, I have to cut in all the walls, and that's what I'm going to do now. And I'm not going to put any masking tape up there or anything like that. This is all freehand stuff all the way around. This color right up next to the grout line. See how nice and straight that grout line is, and how nice and clean that grout line is? Because I spent some time, cleaned it all off from the old paint that was on there. And it's going to look good when I get all done, but I'm going to have to cut in the wall to that grout line. Cut in the wall up to the ceiling. Okay? Cut in up against the door jamb. Cut in around the toilet. Cut in around the baseboard down here. Okay, and that has grout line on there too, and it looked pretty good, so I cleaned that off, made sure that was all nice and straight, so I have to cut in around that. I've got to cut in around the cabinet, around the edges, cut in around the countertop edge, and the backsplash. I'm going to take those cover plates off, then I have to cut in around the door frame. Cut in, cut in, cut in. That's all I'm going to be here for the next couple hours, is a cut in fool. Because I want this to look good. And of course, I'm going to use my cut-in paintbrush. It's at an angle. It's just a little one, and it's got a rubber handle on there. I can hold this. Well, I'm right-handed. Here we go. I can hold it like that. I can hold it like this. I can hold it like this. However you feel, you can cut in with it. And you want something with an angle so you can get into the corners and everything. You'll get good with it if you just practice a little bit and start figuring out how to do your painting around your house. Hey, the first couple of jobs you do, it's not going to be as good as your next ones. You just get better and better as you go. Watch my different painting videos. I've got a whole slew of painting videos on my YouTube channel. Go to my main YouTube channel page, click on playlists, and then scroll down to painting. And every painting video I've ever put up on my channel will be there. Hey, learn as you go. Watch those videos. If you really want to start saving some money and do things yourself, I'll show you how to do it. Don't worry. And am I a professional painter? No, but when I get done with the job, it looks like I'm a professional, and I can teach you too. I'm going to go for it. I don't know how much you're going to see because I'm trying to reach over and stuff, but I'm in the middle of cutting in. It's looking pretty good too. Okay. And that's why I've got my paint on the ground, so I can use both hands up here. The key is to have a nice steady hand. And what you're going to find is you're going to have to go both directions when you're on spray texture walls. Because no matter how much you go over it one direction, you're not going to get it all. And I'm fighting with the light. I've got my light outside, and there's only, let's see if I can't get a little bit more light up there. I'm trying not to hit the ceiling, because obviously I don't want to do that, or else then if you get too much on the ceiling, then you got to decide, once this dries, you need to cut in some of your ceiling again. I take off a little bit off the tip before I go. Okay. Now, I'll wipe off that edge and go some more. Key is not to get it up there too much, or else you look back and you find out, oh shoot, I just tagged the ceiling all kinds because I wasn't paying attention. And you gotta have a nice even hand. You can't be real jittery. Now on this corner, I like the fact that my brush is that cut at an angle, because see, now I'm going to put it up there right like that and get right up on that inside corner, shake it a little bit, try it again. Now I can come back and get it out of that corner. See? That looks pretty good. Go back over it that way. And I have a little bit of extra paint on my paintbrush, but not enough to where I should go any further. I just dip a little bit at a time, and that's why I'm using my little paint tray. That's why I'm using my paint tray down on the ground. Getting back and forth up here and hold my hands up here and all that kind of stuff. Okay. Now see, I don't know if you're gonna see this, because I might be right in your way. But sometimes you gotta get right up there. If I was down lower, I'll try to do it a little bit lower on my ladder, okay? If I'm a little lower on my ladder, then maybe you don't get it exactly where you want it, or something like that. That's why I try to get up here as high as I can. You know, so I'm up here a little bit closer. You see, I'll try this next section on not the top edge of my ladder, but the one down. I can still reach the ceiling. Oh, I've got to get up here higher because I'm over the sink area. And you've got to get good going I'm going backhand right now and then forehand. You can't just do it one way when you're cutting in. Trust me. You'll get good at all kinds of different angles and stuff. And that's why I like this brush. I can hold it however I want. A nice straight line as best I can. And then go the other way. And it fills in those voids on the spray texture. If I get a couple extra little pieces, I can do that and shape my brush. And I think I'm done with that. Okay. Now I'm going to work on that inside corner, and that's why when I did my my painting with the mini roller, I got up there as close as I could, so I don't have to cut in any more than I have to along here. It's just right up in there. Okay, that's all you got to do. And now I gotta cut in my countertop, and I think I'll move my ladder. Let's just see. Do this over here first, and see, getting to that corner, I come in like that and go down to it, and then slide it on down, and you can get those inside corners. That's why you got to have a cut-in brush with the angle on there, so that you can push it on there. See, like that. And I'm going to try get some of the paint off, and nice straight edge here. You don't want to get your paint built up too far on the edge of your paintbrush. Okay. That looks pretty good. I didn't have to go both directions that time. Okay, but sometimes, lots of times you will have to on spray texture walls. Yeah, you remember I had that caulked, and I caulked it with white. Well, I'm gonna have to shine the light on there. But once this dries, I may not have to. Well, I don't know. I may have to hit all that white. It's probably best if I hit it all, you know. And I can always clean off the edge of the countertop I'm gonna go over this just a little more because the white might show up under the gray paint that I'm putting on the wall. You know what I mean? And I want it all to look the same. I want it all to look the same. This is going to be tricky because I'm right here in the corner. And, you know, I'm going to try my left hand here. I'm actually right-handed, but, you know, that looks pretty good right there. Okay. So that, I did it, my left hand. And you'll surprise yourself after a while. Let's see, I'm just taking it off the edge, the brush, and this one there was extra white on here before, as I remember. See, now I gotta go backwards the other way, and then come in again. And I'm trying to hit all of that white. Remember there was a big gap there from before. So I'm just gonna paint it all. And like I say, if I get a little bit on the countertop backsplash, that's okay. I can clean that off after, can I? I probably should have taken the cover plates off before I did the mini roller. Then I could have gotten closer with the mini roller on some of that. But before I do that, I've got to hit this edge up here, and we'll see if I can't squeeze in there. It's kind of a pain sometimes working with the camera because I'm in such a small little confined area. I guess I can go up this way so you can see. Now I got to come the other way, so I'm going to flip my paintbrush around and get right down to the edge. I'm telling you, the best way to do your door frames is to paint your door frames first and then cut in your wall afterwards. I've seen some painters do it the very opposite, and most professional painters, they can do it. You're not a professional painter, and it's way easier to cut the wall in than it is to try to paint that little edge of the door casing. Okay, so I'm gonna flip it around. See, I gotta go both directions here because there's some spray texture on there. Now I can go straight up along that edge, and I got it. So sometimes you gotta work above, sometimes you gotta work below. Here I'm working above so you can see this. But from here down, then I can do it and not be on the little step ladder. Okay. Okay. There we go. It's kind of a tedious. It's kind of a tedious thing. Cutting in and stuff. But take your time, and you'll get better as you go. I'm going to go with my left hand here so you can see this. And I'm not building up very much paint on here at any one go. Some people do more and then you can cut in further, but you know, you're going to be a beginner. I'm showing you exactly what you're going to be up against. I don't have much paint on my paintbrush at any one time. Okay. Then you don't drip, you don't build up an edge. I got to be careful here. The power is still on to my light switches and my electrical outlet and stuff. But as you're cutting in, if you build up too much paint, you get an edge there, and you get an edge on your paintbrush, and then it's hard to cut in. Once you start and you remember what I'm saying, you'll think, oh yeah, that's why when he starts, most of the time I'll get it on the wall a little bit first. I'll kind of put a little bit like that, clean off my edge, then go cut it, then grab some here after my paintbrush is fully saturated on the edge, and go some more. Okay. Don't overdo your cutting in onto your paint that you put on with your roller any more than you have to, because it could show up depending how thick you're putting the paint on, how thick you put it on the wall with the roller, how thick you're putting it on with the paintbrush and all that, because this could flash and show up. You know, if you have sunlight, you might see a little bit of this around, and there's really not much you can do about it, because the texture of the paintbrush, putting it on a wall, is different than your paint roller. Does that make sense? And I'm gonna go all the way down to that white caulking, and I'm actually gonna paint the white caulking. Now, if that countertop was a different color, if it was white, I could do the cut in, and then I could put a nice tight white bead of caulking on there when I got all done, cleaned it up, make it look all pretty. But as it is, it's a dark backsplash and a dark countertop, so I can't do that. I really don't want to try to make a line right next to the white caulking, so that when you get all done, you see your paint color of your wall, and then you see your white caulking that it's not straight because you didn't cut in nice straight line and all that kind of stuff. You see what I'm saying? So anyways, there you go.